The #1 Protoss is facing off against the very best Terran. What I've got for you today is a best-of-5 series of top-level StarCraft 2, where in game #1 we find ourselves on the map Gresven. Spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have hero and his opponent in the opposite corner with the blue SCVs. Likewise also from Korea, we're looking inside of the main base of Maru. Alrighty, so Maru versus hero in a best-of-5 series. When it comes to high-level StarCraft 2, okay. Alright, now I decided to switch it around. I was gonna say, that'd be really funky. Going double gateway against Maru? Anyways, when it comes to high-level StarCraft 2, and in particular the Terran versus Protoss matchup, it really doesn't get any better than these two facing off against each other. Now, hero playing a little bit of a funky game, though. Okay, now hiding that pylon as well. He went for a second gateway, then he didn't when he saw he didn't need it. Then he went for a zealot and he canceled it when he realized he didn't need it. And then he decided to go for a quick nexus. Now going for that pylon a little bit earlier than we normally expected. And it looks like Maru may have very well taken the bait. Because he expected, I think, that probe to go back and forth over there to plant down a pylon in the conventional location. So what exactly is the plan right over here? Hero decides to go straight into a sentry as well, which is also a curious choice. Luckily for Maru, he's going for a standard opener. So he will figure out exactly what he's playing against here momentarily, although I say that. It's a quick tech lab. Starts up the... Okay, these guys, they have a lot of history, right? They've played against each other many times before. And you can already see that something is a little bit funky. He started up concussive shells, then he cancelled concussive shells, even though there was no Protoss unit on his side of the map. Decides to go for a factory here instead. It must be because of what he scouted, so he saw that his opponent decided to go for a quick sentry. Now he restarts it. Okay, so just on the off chance you're unfamiliar with both Maru as well as hero, these two have been competing at an incredibly... Hold up right now, that was cute. I gotta go back. These guys have been competing against one another for like literally more than a decade, right? So they have been playing against each other so many times. Both of them have been very good at the game. Now I saw a cute little move right here from hero, as I think he got his probe stuck. And then he... yeah, he squeezed it out by making an assimilator. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I don't know if that was worth backing up for in the replay, but I thought it was funny. Hero opening up with a very, very quick sentry. Not normally what we see, but he deflected that very first Reaper quite easily, and he's now going to be able to hallucinate a Phoenix to figure out exactly what he's playing against. Now, he sees that very quick green light. It should be a pretty clear indicator that there is aggression coming towards his side of the map. Maru, though, yeah, still does not see a pylon here at the front. Honestly, that seems like a juicy target, because if there's no pylon at the front, there's likely also not going to be a shield battery, and then suddenly, concussive shelled Marauders can deal a tremendous amount of damage. Now he shows up. Hero's thinking about going for a third Nexus. Does he have enough to hold on? I mean, sentries don't really deal damage. They mostly just tickle. Puts down a Nexus in the middle of all of this. I guess eventually that triple gateway start will allow him to, yeah, produce units that will push all of this back, but this has been an interesting exchange here in the first couple of minutes of the game. I'm inclined to imagine that this is better for Maru, but, I mean, the third Nexus timing is certainly very quick, and there's not really a whole lot here that Terran can do about it. So, Maru right now following this up with additional barracks. He decides to go for the Stimpack research as well. Maybe he can put on some pressure here with these Widow Mines. Yeah, but other than that, he's gonna have to sit back for the most part until that Stimpack upgrade is done. Now, a couple of these Adepts do show up on the other side of the map as well. They want to shade into the main base. He does lower the depot right there at the last possible second, just to almost invite those Adepts in. 3 Adepts, of course, is enough to start one-shotting those SCVs, and that's exactly why I decided to go for this amount. In the meantime, though, we do have that one medevac drop heading across, and it's making its way towards the natural expansion. So the dance over here in the natural continues. A couple SCVs go down. There really shouldn't be much damage dealt here. I was gonna say, this is the #1 Protoss, right? There's no way he's gonna lose his entire mineral line. Please tell me he's not gonna lose his entire mineral line to 2 Widow Mines. That would be very sloppy. So in the end, this is really not that great of a start for Maru anymore. Those 3 Adepts dealing quite a bit of damage on the other side of the map. Even if it's just, yeah, the fact that those workers were not mining for a super long time. I mean, not really that many SCVs were killed, but he certainly got slowed down quite a bit. Okay, so this is a techless opener here for hero, who now decides to go into a Twilight Council and a Forge. Very interesting start. Is there a chance for Maru to deal damage on the other side of the map? He's gonna finish up Stimpack momentarily. Combat Shields is very far behind. +1 infantry weapons, I mean, okay, it's researching over here in the back of the main base mineral line. But normally, these 3 upgrades, they finish up right around the same time. And that is certainly not the case here. So he can still go for an attack if he wants to, but he's not quite gonna have that power boost, right, that we normally see. Anyways, now it's a Stalker together with 2 Adepts that have been loaded up inside of a Prism to go once again towards the side of the Terran. I think the plan is to drop them off in the main. Once again, a curious combination of units. Marudo does have Stimpack at this point, so you gotta be incredibly careful here as hero, but he's going around the side and looks like the Marines are not actually in the right place. They do spot the 1 Adept, or sorry, the 1 Observer there, so at least that one gets sniped. Speaking of Adepts, they are dealing a little bit of damage over here. Okay. Yeah, Stimpack is dangerous, man. Okay. He probably did not expect that the Stimpack upgrade was ready to go. It is a little funny to see Stimpack without combat shields and without the +1, but eventually those 2 upgrades are going to finish up here as well. Even though he didn't have a lot of tech early on, hero is now going straight into the Templar Archives too. Chrono boosting out his first upgrade, which will be the ground armor. Okay. So he knows he needs to hold on against this attack. This is a scary push. Suddenly there's a large Terran army. Notice though, ooh, he pulls the boys as well. Yeah, there is no 3rd command center anywhere. So Maru is planning to win the game with this army right here, right now. And I don't think it's a bad call at all. Getting the Prism would be huge. He does not get it. But there's no storm. There's no splash damage, right? So there is 1 shield battery. That's nice. Good start right there with that force field, but here come the boys. This is the first time that hero is gonna see those SCVs as well, if I'm not mistaken. He needs a lot of units. He's got 3 gateways only. He really doesn't have that much, but he does have 1 immortal. Those siege tanks need to be taken care of as they actually shell away right there at the shield battery. Shield battery ends up going down. He really needs to pull his own probes as well. I'm a little surprised hero just sort of sits there and, well, takes down all of the SCVs. I guess his plan is to hold on 2 bases, but that is still a tremendous Terran army. I think this is a significant misread right here from our South Korean Protoss, as he is getting 100% overwhelmed. I mean, that is way too much. That 1 Archon trying its very best, but there's no storm, there's no splash. And if you have only 3 gateways, there's no way. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Altitude. Bit of a skill check right there from Maru, right? So Maru looked at his opponent's build. He's like, yo, you're playing a little bit of a spicy strategy. I'm gonna go ahead and, okay, well, now he decides to go for a proxy pylon. But I'll just go ahead and go for one of the most standard Terran timing attacks. The one where you go for 5 barracks, you pump out a ton of units, you pull the boys, and you check whether or not your opponent actually has enough stuff to deal with you at that point in the game. And it turns out, well, I think hero may have had a chance, but he certainly did not take that fight the way that he was supposed to. Honestly, being on 3 gateways at that point in the game, with full 3... He was probably thinking about a 4th Nexus, right? He was probably assuming there was like a 3rd CC hiding somewhere inside of the main base of Terran, although he did recently have a peek. Anyhow, next up we find ourselves on an entirely different map. This map is absolutely massive, so it's gonna be a proxy Stargate right here from our Protoss. Fair enough. SCV Scout in the main base reveals that there's only a single pylon. That doesn't really tell the full story, but it's always nice to take a note of that, okay? Hero actually decides to drop down a pylon inside of the opponent's natural here, a second before the Reaper kills the probe. Yeah, Maru immediately goes for a bunker on the back of this. I'm assuming this is gonna get cancelled, but it's one of those things where you would rather be safe than sorry. There you go. You don't really want to have another probe showing up here to be a little bit obnoxious. Maru is looking around, but sadly for him, he's looking around on the wrong side of the map. So it turns out the proxy is on the left side, and he is scouting the right side. And like I pointed out, this map is huge, so it's actually very difficult to get much done. But Maru has figured out that something is indeed a little off, as he decides to go for a second bunker, this time around at the front. And did he actually just spot it? Yeah, he did just spot the proxy Oracle build. So that Reaper still putting in some work. It's gonna hide inside of that bunker. A little bit of a lunch break. Is there enough, however, for a Terran player to hold on? There's no Widow Mine out yet. Okay, yeah, he can actually just start contesting those Marines straight up. Jimmy and his friends are running away, but this is gonna deal quite a bit of damage. That being said, though, the Oracle just spawned. Not the perfect target firing either. Yeah, the Oracle just spawned, so it doesn't really have that much energy. These are, of course, wizards. These are space wizards, flying ones. Absolutely amazing. But they do need energy in order to use their spell, so without mana, there's not that much they can do. Okay. Instead, we're gonna now fly around in circles instead of the main base. Second Oracle is gonna show up, but this time around, you gotta be careful for that Widow Mine. Widow Mine is somewhere on the screen. I don't even see it. Where is it? Okay, I'm gonna click away. Ah, it's right over there. You guys probably saw that. It's right over. I didn't notice it, okay? Most importantly, hero has spotted it. So, as long as he knows that there is a Widow Mine somewhere and he doesn't dive too deep, he should be okay. He really wants to fight, though. Yeah, he's trying to invite those Marines to step a little bit further south, but decides better of it. Now the Cyclone is out. Triple Oracle as well. Ooh, a scan is going to reveal everything, but not enough right here to continue locking on right there to that one low HP Oracle. I guess there's another one that's an even lower HP, but it's got a bunch of shields, okay? It's regenerating shields right now. Not the most successful opener right here from hero, but then again, how many units do you usually make out of a Stargate? Unless you want to go for Mass Phoenix, you don't really make that much use of the structure. So even though there's a good chance that this will all get killed later on, hero already got the units that he wanted, and, well, he's bought a lot of time, and now suddenly, yeah, he appears again, killing 5 SCVs. Decides to dive away once more. You love to see it. Revelation right there also reveals exactly what the Terran player is up to. And in the meantime, hero going for a very quick third Nexus once again at the 12 o'clock position. Maybe not quite as ambitious as the previous game, right? This is still a 5-minute third Nexus, but whenever you go for a proxy like this and it doesn't absolutely win you the game right away, it can be a little scary to take that decision. Because once again, he only has a handful of gateways. This time around, though, rather than going charge, he decides to go blink first. No forge either, so yeah, this is gonna be just a whole load of stalkers. Maru's plan, well, similar as the previous one. I'm assuming we're gonna see the switcheroo over here on that barracks. Yep, it's gonna be able to squeeze just in between that factory and that barracks, and you should be able to go for the combat shield research. And then once again, we've got ourselves that classic timing attack coming up. Hello. Okay, needs a little bit more gas. Right now. There you go. Thank you for making me look good. Maru decides to go stimp back combat shields as well as the +1 infantry. He's got a load of stalkers though, hero that is, outside of the opponent's main base. Inside of the Terran main base right now, he's a little bit concerned of, well, maybe Dark Templar and maybe those Oracles returning back. This Widow Mine was tasked with probably burrowing right around the same location as that Stasis Ward, but it's not gonna happen. Beautiful blink control right there for hero though, as he snipes a couple of those expensive Terran units. Going around the site. As long as you've got blink off cooldown, you can basically always get out, but yeah, this is a little dicey. Works out quite well. Obviously, you can still use that pylon over here as well to warp in additional reinforcements, and that's exactly what hero is doing. He's now also using those oracles for high ground vision. So despite the fact that the Oracle proxy didn't work that well, he's actually getting a lot of damage done right now. Sadly for him, he ended up losing one of those Oracles before this particular engagement. I think if the third one was still available here, this fight would look absolutely amazing. Right now, he will likely get pushed back, but he's still, well, I mean, I said the fight would have looked amazing. This fight still looked really good right here for the Protoss player, because killing 21 SCVs, that is what Protoss dreams are made of. In the meantime, Forge is done. Charge is coming up. Additional gateways are also building, as we saw in the previous game. Those are very important. Again, though, no third command center available right here for the Terran player, so you gotta be careful. You don't get carried away making economy. And it looks to me like he's already setting himself up for a 4th Nexus. Certainly would be a little bit greedy. I'm assuming Maru, by the way, has seen the little blur right there of the Stasis Ward, because he's not stepping any further than he absolutely can. Which is very good. I mean, getting caught right here by a Stasis Ward would be game ending. Careful, Maru. Nah, I think he's seen the little shimmer. It's difficult to spot, but on a map like this, yeah, it's more manageable, right? When it's a white background. I think on a map like this, when it's all basically the same color, you can notice that little blur a little bit more easily. Anyways, 4th Nexus is coming up before the 3rd command center of the Terran. Terran's trying to produce however many units he can, and I think Maru may very well go for a similar attack as he did in the previous one. But honestly, this is already so much Protoss. Protoss has been outgrowing Terran here over the last couple of minutes. And now the SCVs are pulled here as well. I mean, this fight is taking place on the side of the Terran. That's exactly where hero wants to be. Even if he has to deal with a counterattack, which is probably going to happen here eventually, he's going to get at least a few more warp-in cycles. Well, still using that proxy pylon. 8 additional zealots join the battlefield. Maru hoping for a lucky siege tank shot, but not quite the case. Okay. War Prism going around the site. So the plan right here is for the Terran to move out, and then as soon as the Terran does move out, for the Protoss to move in. Right? Maybe he doesn't even need to use all of those warp-ins defensively. Maru's finally hunting down that pylon over there up north, but now suddenly there's units inside of the main base. And this has been a beautiful game from Protoss. This is the type of game you want to play. It's not been flawless, but it's been incredibly well controlled. Okay, so now the main thing you have to do here as Protoss is once again hold this timing attack. The boys once again being pulled. This seems to be Maru's bread and butter. Couple of zealots here being obnoxious in the main base. Picks them up as well, gets them back home. He should be warping in a lot of units at home right now. Yeah, there's 2 Immortals, 3 Archons already. Couple more zealots would be amazing. Is he gonna fight this army in the middle of the map? Oh my god, he wants to fight this army in the middle of the map. Even a couple of zealots now coming out of that prism from the back. He decides to fight it, even though he doesn't need it. But he doesn't want to run the risk of those siege tanks sieging up. Brilliant game right there from hero. That's gonna be one of the hardest games to play as a Terran though, where you don't even really make one critical error. You just lose a little bit here and there, and the Protoss just doesn't leave you alone for any longer than like 5, maybe 10 seconds. I think the longest hero let him alone for was when he transitioned from the Oracles into the Blink Stalker, right? So maybe every 5 to 10 seconds is a bit of an exaggeration, but there's no denying that hero was in the driver's seat of that game from start to finish. Really nicely done. Maru though, he's always got a chance, right? And I like that about him. He doesn't give up. A lot of Protoss players would just get the win a little bit sooner there, but yeah, Maru's like, you know what? I can always pull all the boys and try my very best to obtain the victory. Worked pretty dang well in game number 1. But yeah, not so well there in game number 2. Okay, so that evens up the score. Double gas opener this time around right here for Maru, who decides to go for the command center inside of the main base. Of course, that means a quicker factory, but a slower CC, but also a faster starport. Usually that means that Terran wants to get aggressive, but we do have a Phoenix opener as well in the meantime on the other side of the map, and that can make this a little bit awkward, because now both players are going to want to be aggressive. Phoenix is usually followed up with a Robo facility, because you can go straight into a Colossus. So usually Robo facility into a Robo Bay is the go-to. Very ambitious little Reaper here, but I don't think it's going to happen, Mr. Reaper, man. Well, at least he went out in a nice puff, so, you know, that's something. But yeah, the first Phoenix actually, decided to go straight across the map. So hero mostly just using this for scouting. So he sees the timing of the Cyclone. He hasn't spotted the command center, but he should know exactly what he's playing against. Although, it's always nice to get confirmation. Yeah, there you go. Now he sees exactly what he's going up against. Okay. So, a quick 1-1-1 right here from Maru, followed up with a second barracks as well. So I'm assuming we're going to see the switcheroo. We'll go into the combat shields and Stimpak upgrade and all the rest of it here eventually, but it's certainly going to allow Maru to get a good amount of units out right here in the earlier stages of the game. The question is, are you brave enough to go across the map against somebody who's opening up Phoenixes? Because there's always a chance that the Phoenixes come back into your main base, lift up half your mineral line, kill all the units, and then still be back home in time to defend as well. Now, strangely enough, hero only... Okay, we have a little bit of headbanging going on inside of the main base. Hero only decided to go 3 Phoenixes. That is really not that much, but obviously Maru doesn't really have a way to tell because he ended up losing that Reaper. Yeah, so, okay. It's only 3 Phoenixes straight into a Robo Bay. We do have an Immortal coming up as well. Colossus will not be all too far behind. Okay, free Adept? Well, free-ish. This entire Terran army is returning here to, yeah, just snipe that one unit. Observer in the middle of the map as well, scouting out everything here for hero, who really wants this Terran army to stay at home for a while. Yeah, only 3 Phoenixes. Okay. There's the Colossus. Immortal, doing its little tippy toe dance. Dip, 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 dip. They have those little dragoon legs, right? It's kind of cute. Anyways, I can talk about Immortals all day, but I should probably look at the units that just killed 2 SCVs. I'm just kidding, I'm gonna go back to the Immortal. Dip, 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 dip. I feel like Immortals are better dancers than me, even though I don't even know if they are alive. I mean, I can't dance for the life of me, so, you know, maybe that's not that weird, but I don't really dance. Unless I've had a couple too many drinks, then then maybe. Maybe you'll see Lowko on the dance floor, but it's been a while. Anyways, here we go. The Colossus is out, and this is always a sigh of relief, right? When you're the Protoss player, you're like, ha, I got him. I got him. My entire early game, it's basically led up to the big boys. Problem is, though, there's a large Terran army building on the other side of the map. Maru taking a relatively passive approach. He's going for an attack again, so the question we gotta ask ourselves is, are these boys gonna be pulled as well? I don't think he should, but, you know, it's Maru, so you never know. Or if you get to stay home, that's amazing. Once again, no third command center. Are we gonna see one in this particular series? There's a good amount of Protoss units available, though. A lot of high energy sentries. Second Colossus is popping. Extended thermal lens is gonna finish up momentarily, too. If you want to fight Maru, right now is the time. Okay, well, I mean, he gets it. Very aggressive move right there from hero as both of his Colossi get disabled temporarily. I don't know why he decided to go that far out. Now suddenly the Widow Mines, yeah, they are gonna take some damage to that Protoss army as well. And the, well, the Protoss economy, it's running. Disruptor does not pop out. No idea why hero decided to step that far forward. I think he's been... You know, his dance moves were pretty good, right? So he must feel pretty confident, but there was no way he's going to be able to take that fight if he doesn't take care of the Raven. So excellent micro right there from Maru. Love those Widow Mines. Burrowed at the bottom of the ramp as well. One force field goes down, but this is him just hunting down the probes, butchering all of those workers. Okay, Phoenixes, they at the very least still get a little bit of damage done. Fair enough. They should be able to snipe maybe one more medevac, sure. But 34 workers is 34 workers, and now the Terran reinforcements have been sent straight towards the third base of the Protoss player. Obviously, hero has had a lot more workers here for quite some time, so that's nice. But, yeah, 38 probes is a lot, and it's enough. Third command center is done right now for the Terran as well. We built that during all of this. So what exactly do you do as if you're a Protoss player in this scenario? I mean, you can obviously pull your probes as well, try to go for one big assault. The thing is, Protoss doesn't have mules, right? So obviously when you're a Terran and you pull all of the workers, at the very least, you can still get a bit of damage done. And then, you know, have some mining on the back of it too. As a Protoss, you don't really have that luxury, so normally we don't see Protoss and Zerg pulling the boys like that. Widow Mine drop in the middle of all of this too, you love to see it. Good splits right here, though, from our Protoss player, but, I mean, 44 workers is way too much. Okay. So now it's Maru who's saying, yo, you come to my side of the map if you want to party. Turns out hero doesn't want to party. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on Ancient Cistern. Now, from what I understand, this game right here, this is the one that people recommended to me. This game right here is amazing. So, let's see. Maru, he's on match point right now. He decides to apparently start off this game by sending 2 SCVs towards the other side of the map. A little bit of a cheeky opener as he starts up barracks number 1. And I'm assuming we're going to go for barracks number 2 here as well. Because otherwise, why would you be sending 2 probes or SCVs? Okay. Hyper aggressive build right here from Maru, but I also saw that this replay is rather long. So, I don't think the game is going to end within the next few minutes. Hero doesn't know what he's playing against, decides to go for a very standard start over here. Question is he going to be sending one of those probes towards the other side of the map to scout this out, or maybe to go for a proxy of his own? So far, I don't think that's the case. So, he'll be playing, yeah, a normal game right here at home. There's the Cyber Core. And he's probably going to opt to go for a pretty quick Nexus on the low ground as well. So 20 supply Cyber Core into a 20 supply Nexus. That is exactly what Maru is hoping for. Who's now going for Marines very close to where his opponent spawned. Okay, luckily for him, he does put the pylon over there in a conventional location. Putting it off to the side would be a little bit tricky, like he did in game number 1. Anyways, Maru now shows exactly what he's been working on, as he is ready to shut this all down. And honestly, I mean, only just now is when a Zealot starts up. There's not really that much that our Protoss player can do about this. 2 Marines are being pushed out onto the map at once. This Nexus, it's likely toast. The problem is, when you lose the Nexus, right? You're stuck inside of your main base. And playing, yeah, a contained base, or playing like a contained game as Protoss is really, really rough. Okay, at least he kills one of those SCVs. That's nice. I wouldn't mind seeing a few Marines maybe dedicated to killing the Nexus, but apparently Maru has decided, no, I wanna win this game by grabbing it all. So this is a little bit dangerous. He could settle for a base, but instead he decides, yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot of time inside of your main base. This is now allowing, okay, this is now allowing hero to get quite a few units out, but he was also forced to go for a shield battery in the main. Nexus eventually does still get cancelled, so Maru right now in firm control of the early game. The question is, how much damage do you want to do? So apparently, yeah, he decides to fly at least one of those barracks back home. The other one is going to be used for in-game scouting. But the question is always, how much damage is Terran, well, willing to commit to in the earlier stages of the game? When can you expand on the back of this? Protoss though, not going to wait. He decides to go for a triple gate. Oh no, actually a quadruple gate start. So this is a 4 gate. 4 gate always takes me back to the very early days of StarCraft 2. This is what hero used to play in like 2011. Guys like MC, very, very successful playing these one base pushes. But this is not really a one base push, right? I mean, he wants to make it into a one base push as he decides to go for a robo facility too. But this is going to be a difficult one. Warp gates, however, are going to finish up, and it's going to allow hero to get a lot of units out. The Prism will allow him to warp those units in on the other side of the map as well, so this certainly does have potential. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Maru decides to go for a second command center inside of the main base, as he's already gone for a Cyclone right now as well as a Starport. Okay, Viking coming up. That Viking is going to be very helpful to gun away at that one Prism. But here goes the Protoss. Is he going to expand on the back of this? That's the question. If you've already made 4 gateways right here, I don't think you can really expect to expand behind this very easily. But can you really expect to break the Terran player that is currently, well, inside of their main base? Unless Maru decides to fly that command center to the low ground, it's going to be very difficult. You can obviously lift up units inside of the main base of the Terran. Yeah, there you go. That's what that Prism is for. Okay, and he's ready. He's ready to elevator everything inside of the main base. Surprise! 1 siege tank available though, and that is fantastic. Viking is going to be joining the fray very soon as well. So that's going to be able to, at the very least, aid in pushing back that Prism. Okay, well, Cyclone is dead. Still, siege tank. In range of all of this. Maru's gonna have to reposition it though, as they're trying to squeeze their way towards the bottom of the main base to do as much damage as possible. Now he's once again in range though. Prism, okay, gotta be very careful. Trying to juggle low HP units. A lot of SCVs have already gone down. The Protoss army is just being sacrificed inside of the main base of Terran right now to do as much damage as possible. He does get the siege tank. He does get a lot of SCVs, and he's not done just yet. Still though, he has not made a Nexus. So this has been, for all intents and purposes, a complete all-in. Nice targeting right there by Maru, who does have double orbital command. I think he can go home if he wants to right now, but what exactly is the plan? I think that hero is crossing his fingers and he's hoping that his opponent decides to go for the command center towards the low ground right now, and that's exactly what Maru does. Maru assuming that on the back of this there is a Nexus. Well, there is a Nexus right now, but that is rather late. He decided to prioritize warping in once again that hit squad of 2 Adepts together with a Stalker. Okay. Now, despite all of that damage, unless this kills a significant amount of workers, this is a fantastic game right here for our Terran. Those mules are gonna just return so much. Okay, well, I mean, this does have potential. It's just that single target damage of a siege tank is incredible, and... Okay, he's trying to target fire down those low HP units. He does get another one. You love to see it. Yeah, 17 workers have gone down already. The problem is, it's those mules, right? So... Because he's got double orbital... Oh, look at him queuing up SCVs. Under a little bit of stress for sure. There you go. Finally starts up some additional mules too. Snipes a couple of those units. Because of those mules, the income advantage is going to be heavily in favor of the Terran. So despite the fact that he lost so many of those workers, he still has a good amount of workers too, because he's been producing them out of 2 of those structures for a while already. Whereas Protoss, well, up until very recently, has been stuck on just a single Nexus. Yep. So I'm liking this situation for Maru, despite the fact that he lost a ton of stuff. Now, Storm is already coming up. I mean, it's not like 7.5 minutes into the game. Storm is, you know, early. But in a game like this, it certainly does feel very quick. I think this is herO's saying, I am gonna have to pull a rabbit out of a hat. I think he's reading his situation very well. The last thing my opponent expects right now is High Templar with Storm. I mean, you should really not show it, though. herO decides to apparently send the Templar forward. He probably wants to feed back that Raven. And he should be able to pull that off, but that may very well spoil the surprise. Boop. Yep, nicely done. So, no more energy right there on the Raven. That's something, but you gotta ask yourself, why exactly would there be High Templar already at this point in the game? The R2 Templar inside of the Prism. I think the plan right here for herO is to Storm drop his opponent. Well, Storm at this point is finished. At 1 Adept, dealing quite a bit of damage as well. Softening up a lot of those SCVs with the Siege Tank. Good pull right there for Maru, though. Only 5 workers go down. Okay. Very good crisis management right there for Maru. Look at all these low HP SCVs. You should really just have a little bit of a moment where they repair each other back up, because there's gonna be more of this. Yeah, he now is gonna unload the units on top of that Siege Tank. That Siege Tank has been both an enemy as well as an ally, though, because it's been dealing a lot of damage to those SCVs. Widowmine over here is going to burrow in time, so that's nice. Oh, good pickup. Brilliant pickup right there. herO suddenly microing his absolute heart out. I mean, he's been trying his very best at that for basically the entirety of this game, but incredibly well done. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we do have 2 medevacs here that we're ready to unload, but I think he may very well have just all army hotkeyed them back home. Or is he really... Okay. Prism goes down. Is he really respecting that push so much? Prism ended up going down, though, and inside of it, everything that was available. So, suddenly, once again, Maru, he's taken a lot of damage, but he's stable. And now he's got a 3rd command center. 3rd command center, growing a little orbital command hat as well. herO, though, yeah, he started off his own 3rd Nexus as well. Right now, he is ahead when it comes to the worker count. Okay. Brilliant game so far. Starting with the early game cheese from Terran, followed up with the non-stop aggression from herO. herO's unit control, man, it's next level. It's really, really impressive. It's not even perfect, though, right? Like, that's... If you see some of the Zerg players microing their army, it looks pretty much perfect. Oh, beautiful. It looks pretty much perfect, and you're like, okay, I don't think it can really get much better than that. But when you look at this from herO, you still look at, you know, some of those fights, and you realize, hey, there is still... As difficult as it is, there's still a little bit of room for improvement. Now suddenly, though, Maru is showing up. There's Storm available, of course. And that's going to push that army back nice and quick. Okay. Careful now. Maru overstimming quite heavily here. These units are basically, well, the majority of them are 1 hit away from dying. Given a little bit of time, though, with the medevacs, they should be okay, as we now have another quadruple drop coming up. This time around, once again, Widow Mines. Okay, Storm. Beautiful Storm drop. My God. herO is doing some brilliant Storm drops. Well, feedback on the Ghost. No EMP for you today. He's got so many Templar. Basically, his entire army is Templar. Okay, he's losing quite a few of them as well, but basically all of the High Templar have gone down with some very good trades. Okay, I gotta even start throwing some water balloons right there at the Widow Mines. Not something we normally have, but hey, I don't hate it. That was a cool shot, by the way, future Lowko. 11-minute mark. Take a screenshot of those High Templars shooting water balloons. I think that's a good shot for the thumbnail of the video, as he's ready to now break into the opponent's natural expansion. Maru's been up with his back against the wall for a while, but no one better than him in this scenario. That Widow Mine dropped, by the way, I believe it turned back home. Although I don't know where the Widow Mines are. So maybe it actually got sniped. I'm not exactly sure. I lost track of it. Anyways. The real question is, though, is there enough available right now for hero to break through this? I don't think he does have enough. He's got to be very careful. Don't lose another prism with a bunch of Archons in it. Okay. Only a single Viking, and that is really nice because that's going to give him enough time to get out. Okay. Third Nexus in the meantime has finished up, and despite that terrible start, hero is now ahead economically. He can start thinking about making a fourth Nexus as well, but he first up will need to hold this incoming attack right here from our Terran player. Colossi are on the production tab, Disruptor also coming up. This is basically all 4 forms of splash damage that Protoss has at their disposal. So Disruptors, Colossi, Archons, and High Templar. It's a banger of a unit comp, but also, very difficult to control. Okay. Very quick, by the way, on the battery overcharge. Good. Storms once again softening up the ghosts. But the ghosts are still alive, and that is most important. In the meantime, we did have a little bit of a push on the other side, but it looks like the Terran reinforcements will clean up those zealots. Once again, hero ready to face off against this Terran army. Loses a prism. In the middle of the map. Always a little bit scary. I always like it whenever Protoss players sit back to defend closer to their shield battery, but hero does this better than anyone else, as he does end up losing. It looks like almost, yeah, 2 of those High Templar. But here he comes once again. Colossus looking menacing, but just by itself it's not going to be that strong. Still though, this is a really powerful Protoss army. Maru looks at this fight though and he's like, yo, you may look very threatening, but I have a good amount of stuff myself as well. Just my Marines, Marauders, and Ghosts, and those Medevacs up in the skies, they are gonna be more than enough to deal with this army at the very least. Reinforcements though from the Protoss player have just shown up, and I think these indeed will be enough to push back this Terran force. Very scrappy game so far. Fourth Nexus in the meantime has finished up. Fourth Command Center started up as well for the Terran player, who's now falling a little bit behind in that department. One thing though that he's been doing very nicely is those upgrades. Yeah, so 2-2 starts up right now here as well for Maru. That is a big indicator that he does not think he can win this game in the next few minutes, but his army is gonna get continuously stronger as time goes on. Protoss doesn't really have that many upgrades, only a single one right now for the ground units. Which is nice, but yeah, upgrades are very important. If the game does go the distance, it's very important that you keep as many of those units alive, right? And you really try to get as many of those upgrades out as well, because the more units you have that can benefit from those upgrades, the better. And obviously with the unit composition that Maru is playing, it's all those small Terran units, right? All these Marines, Marauders, Ghosts, they all benefit from each of those upgrades very distinctly, and it's noticeable. +2/+2 Terran units are way more powerful than a +0/+0 army. Anyhow, here we go again. Good EMP right there, softening up a bunch of those Stalkers. Colossi, however, are showing up right here. There's also a Disruptor in the mix, and there it does indeed start bowling. Decides to settle right here. Oh, nice Storm Flank. Decides to settle right there for the 1 Widow Mine. Storm Flank into Archon Morph. You love to see it. As now, once again, it is hero who's on the offensive. Nice detonation right over there as well. Terran's been fighting for a while. He's been stimming for a while as well, but he does get another Colossus. Those Vikings helping out in that department. You gotta be so careful, but excellent targeting there as well for Maru. Every time I look at these Maru fights, I think he needs to back off, but he's like, nope, I am... Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit the spacebar. I am gonna stand my ground. I feel like a lot of Terran players in these battles would back off a little bit sooner, but Maru is like, nope, I actually have enough stuff. Even though my army may not look it, it's actually very powerful. Okay. Double Disruptors now coming up. Supply-wise, this is still a hero who's behind. Economically speaking, he may be fine, but it's not that tremendous of a situation either. Now that the 4th command center is set up right here at the bottom of the map, and it grew a little planetary fortress on top of itself as well, it's going to be difficult to break that. In the meantime, there's already another command center flying on over towards the left side. I believe that's the old main base, but rather than looking inside of the main base, let's see what these disruptors get done. Just a single Widow Mine for now. If this was beyond playing, there would definitely be a medevac drop on the other side of the map. Somewhere inside of the main base. Now this could deal damage. No reaction here from hero. Brilliant move right there from Terran. That's what we want to see. In the meantime, there's a push right here into the planetary fortress, but honestly, there's no way that hero is going to be able to break this position with the current army that he's got. Yeah, settling for some SCVs is nice though. Not bad. Hero is, of course, one good detonation away from being entirely back in this game. But Maru's been doing an excellent job not giving that to his opponent. He's got a lot of Widow Mines. Yeah, those Widow Mines are very powerful. Okay, once again, I guess those probes right there could be in a little bit of trouble. Okay, now we decide to apparently collapse on top of this. There is a nice concave right there for the Terran player, but still enough firepower here for Hero to deal a good amount of deeps as well. Oh, I think maybe somebody was lagging out. That's probably what happened. Okay. Anyways. Good EMPs right there, softening up that army. God, these guys actually having to deal with a pause, I think, in the middle of this as well to try and make sure that they don't, oh my god, fall out of the game. It's so difficult to maintain focus. Now suddenly, though, Hero is looking incredibly powerful in this fight. Microing his Protoss hard out, getting so much value. Blinking back those Stalkers right now to allow those Zealots to get on top of all of those SCVs. And what I thought was going to be a really good battle right there for the Terran, because Maru was already pulling rabbits out of hats before that fight, suddenly turned in the favor of our Protoss player, who now has a good army available. That being said, though, Maru's production is not really slowing down at all, right? He's pumping out so many units so quickly. You gotta be careful. Hero needs to be on top of his own warpins as well. Yeah, he just warped in additional Zealots, so both players are gonna try and keep their money as low as possible. Look at the resources here at the bottom of the screen. These guys have been on point with macro. Not something we commonly see, but these guys seem to bring the best out of each other. Beautiful pickup there as well by Maru, by the way, saving a couple of those units that would have been blown up by the Disruptor. Couple Stalkers here, okay. Get caught off guard. Nothing all too crazy, though. Does save the majority of them. Yeah, this planetary fortress at the bottom of the map is so good. Widow Mine over there, getting a good detonation in as well. That planetary fortress is basically shutting down the advancement of the Protoss army in the bottom. Okay, so while we're cleaning up some Widow Mines here, there was a council on the Nexus up north, as Maru is going in for the counterattack. Recall being used right now on a chunk of that army, but the Disruptor's actually not in the middle of that. Looks like the Pylon got killed right before the Stalker Warp-in finished. Nicely done right there by our Terran player once again, but now you can see the stress is becoming quite significant as both players do start stacking up quite a bit of cash. You, of course, do get a little bit of money back whenever your units get cancelled, but Hero is not going to be allowed to miss another one of his warpins like that. Orbital Command over here. That's the old main base. So this is a very susceptible base for sure. You can easily push this. Susceptible to aggression, that is. You can easily push this and maybe even go after the Orbital Command itself. In the meantime, though, the Terran army on the right side of the map got down a Nexus 2. Is this really gonna settle with a base race? Is that where we're going right now? Hero pushing into the opponent's natural expansion, whereas Maru right now is pushing into the opponent's third. Maru trying his very best to deal damage. Widow Mine over here is gonna fire once again as it kills even more of those probes. How many units are available, though, for Terran? As long as he can hold the main base and he can get more and more reinforcements out, I think this is quite playable. Then again, though, Hero does still have a lot of money in the bank. I would love to see some warpins over here, or maybe commit to like a full-on push inside of the main base. He's taking a lot of time trying to march up this ramp, and this is allowing Maru to produce a significantly larger army than he had even just like 30 seconds ago. Maru, in the meantime, has killed the third base, he's killed the natural, he's going after the fourth base, and now he's going after those Colossi as well, and I think that is basically all she wrote right here for Hero, who's losing all of his heavy hitters. GG is called, and Maru, in an incredible display of skill, obtains the victory. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. It really does help. And if you enjoyed watching this, I try to upload new videos pretty much every single day. Make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.